Around 1450, Europe took a dramatic leap forward, a transformation historians call the Renaissance. Pinning down precise dates or identifying a single geographic center for the Renaissance is difficult. Many regions of Europe were touched only lightly, or not at all, by its cultural innovations, and some historians have argued that despite its fame, the Renaissance directly affected only a small portion of Europe's population. Yet even with its limited reach, the Renaissance had an outsized impact. Its artistic and intellectual achievements reshaped literature, philosophy, art, and the European worldview so profoundly that 17th-century Europe became fundamentally different from the Europe of the 15th century. As one historian famously remarked, ever since the Renaissance invented itself 600 years ago, there has been no agreement as to what it really is. To understand the Renaissance, it is first important to clarify what it was not. It was not simply a renewed interest in classical ideas, since such a revival had already begun in the 12th century. Nor was it a wholesale rejection of medieval values or a simple return to pagan antiquity. Christianity did not disappear, and Europeans did not attempt to recreate ancient Rome. Instead, the Renaissance represented a new way of using classical learning, not to imitate antiquity blindly, but to question authority, challenge inherited wisdom, and place human beings at the center of intellectual life. No single individual embodies this spirit better than Leonardo da Vinci. A painter, sculptor, engineer, anatomist, and inventor, Leonardo possessed an almost limitless curiosity and imagination. His notebooks contain studies of human anatomy, alongside designs for fantastical machines, including prototypes of a helicopter, a submarine, and even a machine gun. At the same time, his art reached unparalleled heights, with paintings such as the Mona Lisa becoming some of the most recognizable works in the world. Leonardo exemplified the Renaissance ideal of the many-sided individual, capable of mastering multiple forms of knowledge and creativity. Two defining ideas lay at the heart of Renaissance culture. The first was an independence of mind. Renaissance thinkers and artists celebrated the ideal of the self-sufficient, well-rounded individual, a complete man who was not beholden to tradition or authority, but capable of shaping his own intellectual and aesthetic standards. The second defining idea was humanism. Humanism shifted cultural focus away from divine mysteries alone and toward human experience, human achievement, and the human form. Renaissance thinkers believed that human beings, created in the image of God, possessed abilities and potential that approached the divine. This marked a decisive departure from medieval thought, which emphasized human weakness, sinfulness, and dependence on divine grace. The artistic achievements of Michelangelo Buonarroti offer a powerful illustration of these ideals. Michelangelo, the most renowned artist of the Italian Renaissance, worked as a painter, sculptor, architect, and poet. His art centered on the human figure, portrayed as powerful, magnificent, and brimming with potential. His greatest achievement was the frescoes of the Sistine Chapel, particularly the famous panel of the creation of Adam. Whereas medieval artists focused primarily on the glorification of God and depicted humans as small and humble, Michelangelo reversed this emphasis. His figures are heroic, muscular, and monumental. In the creation of Adam, Adam appears almost godlike in strength and beauty, while God is shown as tender, caring, and nearly human in his intimacy. The message is unmistakable. Human beings are the crowning achievement of creation. The Renaissance spirit of independence extended beyond art into politics, most clearly in the work of Niccolò Machiavelli. Few Renaissance thinkers were truly original, but Machiavelli was one of them. Living during a period when Italy was fractured by internal rivalry and repeatedly invaded by French and Spanish forces, he witnessed firsthand the brutal realities of power. In 1498, Machiavelli entered the government of the Florentine Republic and served on diplomatic missions throughout Italy. He was especially impressed by Cesare Borgia, the ruthless and ambitious son of Pope Alexander VI, who restored order in Rome through fear, deception, and force. When Florence fell in 1512, Machiavelli lost his position and spent the remainder of his life in exile. During this period he wrote The Prince, a starkly realistic analysis of political power. In it, Machiavelli argued that a ruler's first duty was to maintain the power and safety of the state, even if doing so required immoral actions. Moral considerations, he insisted, must not interfere with political necessity. Human beings, in his view, were driven primarily by self-interest, and a ruler could not depend on the loyalty or affection of subjects. Successful rule often required deception, force, and ruthlessness. These ideas shocked his contemporaries and continue to provoke debate centuries later. A more refined vision of Renaissance ideals appeared in the work of Baldassare Castiglione, a diplomat and courtier. In the Book of the Courtier, Castiglione presented an image of Renaissance culture rooted in elegance, grace, and effortless skill. While medieval writers emphasized piety, humility, and service, Castiglione focused on wit, refinement, and cultural polish, reflecting the atmosphere of Italy's princely courts. He promoted the ideal of the Renaissance man as someone skilled in many arts, knowledgeable in literature and philosophy, and capable of bravery, charm, and conversation. Castiglione also addressed the place of women in courtly society, suggesting that women could and should demonstrate intelligence, grace, and eloquence equal to men. Although limited by modern standards, his views granted women a more public and independent role than most medieval writers allowed. The Book of the Courtier became one of the most widely read works of the age and helped spread Italian ideals of civility and aristocratic culture across Europe. At its core, the Renaissance mindset rested on a profound confidence in human potential. Renaissance thinkers believed that human beings could understand the workings of nature, that knowledge was attainable through study, that creativity and ingenuity were divine gifts, and that human effort could improve life on Earth. This outlook marked a decisive break from medieval attitudes, which emphasized human helplessness and submission to divine providence. Medieval Europeans often viewed themselves as weak, sinful, and powerless before God's will, whereas the Renaissance encouraged the belief that humans could shape their destiny, master their environment, and uncover the secrets of the universe. Although the Renaissance originated in Italy, its influence gradually spread across Europe, to France, the Low Countries, England, and parts of Eastern Europe. While it did not transform daily life for the majority of Europeans in the 15th and 16th centuries, its long-term effects were immense. Its central intellectual contribution can be summed up in a single word: humanism. Humanism emphasized the dignity of human beings, the excellence of human abilities, and humanity's capacity for self-understanding. Some humanists argued that humans were great because they alone could seek knowledge of God, while others stressed humanity's ability to shape its own identity and destiny. In either case, the Renaissance introduced a new belief in the worth and potential of the human race, one that profoundly shaped the future of Western civilization.